Welcome to the Farbringen for inspiration for the slichus that begins tonight. So open at 1 o'clock, most shuls nearby. We say this. So don't forget that. It's on your phone anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I was learning some of this, the Shabbos in the cottage. I came back for this minyan. Hopefully it'll be good. So I thought I'd maybe review some of the stuff that I learned about dveikus and tefillah from the Baal Shem Tov. Very interesting, informative stuff. So welcome. I hope it's not too late for you because you might have set your alarm to get up. But in Chabad we go in there a bit staggering from the inspiration. And I thought maybe I'd just try and see what the next week's parsha is going to be in Parshas Nitzavim. Talk about parshas that talk about the equality of each person. We're all standing together before Hashem on Rosh Hashanah. We have the shofar, the inner calling. The shofar is it's not much of a conversation. It's more of a cry from the depths. So that's that. Welcome. And so maybe I'll do a bit of the Sivas Haribash. We did a little bit of this, I think, like yesterday or the day before. So I don't want it to overlap too much. I like a little bit overlap so you can remember where we left off. Okay, here the whole segment starts about someone who might want to fast as his way of getting more holy. The Baal Shem Tov did not encourage fasting so much because they caused sadness, and the Baal Shem Tov was about joy. But someone who realizes that they haven't rectified their self properly might want to do this just to get them to feel something. And we spoke about how a person might want to expire entirely in a few words in prayer to give so much intensity that he's prepared to face his final day. So therefore it's a kindness that Hashem keeps us alive and gives us strength to continue. So are you holding at that level of intensity in your tefillah? Everyone has the same opportunity to connect to Hashem through tefillah. The child and the rabbi themselves, all the same before Hashem and tefillah. And we spoke about the whirling blades that guard the Eitz HaChaim, the tree of life. That when someone starts off on the journey of trying to connect his thoughts to the higher realms, he's confronted with obstacles, klippa. And even though he only has so much power to accomplish this intensity in his tefillah so many times in one shot. And he cleaves to Hashem. And he soars into the supernal realms. And he strengthens himself in the faith that the entire world is filled with Hashem. Knowing that while he's already attained the higher realm, so he's reflecting on the fact that even when he's not inspired anymore, he's still in a realm that is entirely connected to Hashem. B'amuna shleima, entering the realm of faith. Deksiv v'tzadik min masiyichya. It says the righteous live from their faith. So the tzaddik, it's suggesting, has his own cycles of added inspiration. It's just that he has the faith to know that whatever he accomplished through that tefillah, whenever it was, even if it was last Tuesday, that carries him through with knowing the reality of what his connection with Hashem really is. And also when one descends in one's inspiration in his prayer, just do whatever you can. And afterwards, he ends up anyways approaching this level several times in one prayer. Yad Haguf, and there's another nusach, Yedaber Haguf. At first, you start articulating the words of tefillah through your body. You just go through the motions. You just start it. Nusach Akar Bahaguf, Shel Hateva, in the body of the word, meaning the sound. And afterwards, you end up putting intent into that, the soul of the word that you just said in tefillah. So one first, we learned this is just a little bit of review, but I thought it would be fun. He asks, a person has to use his body to the max to start this process, in order that the power of the soul should light it up. As it says in the Zohar, that a log that won't burn, crush it and it will light up. And afterwards, he will be able to serve Hashem through his mind. So he starts with his body and moves to his mind, levad bli tnuas haguf, without any movement whatsoever. Sometimes when a person, this is the Baal Shem Tov's Tzivas Bash, sometimes a person, when he's experiencing a higher world in dveikus, these worlds are sort of different ways to experience Hashem, different levels of experience ad infinitum. One actually has to be careful when you are in a state of dveikus not to move the body at all, so as to ride that wave of dveikus. You should not move your body when you reach dveikus, whatever you're doing. If you're standing like the Statue of Liberty or Kung Fu guy, that's the way you stop, and don't leave that wave of dveikus. The efshar lispalo b'kavana gdela ki imal yedei chizuk. It's impossible to achieve tremendous kavana, intent in davening, if not with great exertion. So before you start, you ask Hashem to help you on this mission. Okay, I think that's about as far as we got last time we did this. You know, we did this also yesterday. A person should think that it's good that Hashem helps them for half of the prayer, or even the majority of it would be really nice, with true focus and intent. And eventually when he sort of runs out of energy, simply, and the dveikus therefore dissipates, what do you do with such a person? What does this person do? He should pray according to his power, as much as he could do, just even if it's a slight application of mind, do that, and that's good enough. Okay? Im eina nili mili, and this is an incredible interpretation of these words from Pirkei Avos. If I am not for me, who is for me? Tzarich betfilo. So the Baal Shem Tov interprets this verse, this saying of the sages. Tzarich betfilo liyes kamei mufshat megashmias. It's necessary in prayer to be. Should I invite some people? We're supposed to bring before slichas. Go in there inspired. If you don't want to be invited, don't have your name starting with A. So you have to strip yourself away from concern with physical things. If you have an itch, scratch it and move on. You cannot be thinking about, is my tie too tight, when you're trying to daven. That's why you say, if I am not for myself, who is going to be for me? Right, Salamar, meaning, Bizman sha'ani mufshat megashmius. That's only possible when I am transcending physical concerns. Im ein anili. If I am not with myself, meaning I'm not myself anymore, I've stripped away myself from my physical concerns. And my life in the physical world is completely irrelevant. If the guy's calling about the plumbing, it's the last thing you want to hear. And you're say to dveikus, and now the guy wants to interview you about are you happy with your duct cleaning services? Or something ridiculous. That's the last thing you want to think about when you're in dveikus. Kalemer kishani ava lemadrega shaloi eda ve'argish klal im ani li b'elam hazeh in love. When I've reached such a level of experience that I don't at all feel my concerns of the physical world, bavadei ein li shum pachad. In that state, there is no fear from foreign thoughts. Because then foreign thoughts cannot befall me. Being that I've left the world. The world is a place where there's the claws and the stumbling blocks. But once you've already left that, so you're in a spiritual state, you're davening, you don't care about whether you have had enough Wheaties for breakfast. You've taken care of all your needs by focusing on something that's more important to you right now, and you've succeeded in saying goodbye to them for a while. At that point, you're vibrating at a frequency that foreign thoughts don't enter your head. There's no reason to fear them, the Baal Shem Tov teaches here. V'zeh mili, im eina nili, mili. If I am not me in this physical world, I'm totally transcending that. Mili, who is going to try and touch me? What thoughts could possibly interfere? Because he's not grounded. There's no im eina nili. He's not for himself. Lezeu mili, that's the who am I? Right to learn meaning, the Baal Shem Tov says, Eze machshava zaras yavo li. What kind of foreign thoughts will come to me if I'm not even myself? Because I'm lifted up from the physical self. The lower realm is where you could have that obstacle. We're beyond that in prayer. So therefore, there's no fear of machshava zaras. You just keep on going forward. But when I am to myself, the Pirkei Avos continues, right? But when I consider myself as a physical, separate, autonomous, self-interested person in the physical world, as adraba, and then one is not the one that's considered as anything at all. So the transcending here allows you to not fear. And when a person considers this is talking about the times of tefillah. It's not talking about when you have to pay your taxes or something like that. Don't misunderstand that. When the Pirkei Avos says, "What am I here?" Right? To leimar ma'ani chashuv. It means, what am I worth if I have not transcended my ego in this way? Uma v'dasi hashuva lefanav yisbarach chashuva. And what is my efforts considered or esteemed in Hashem's eyes? Ki az yival b'lai aisi machshava zaras. Because then the foreign thoughts have a way in. V'hareini k'meisha eneni b'olam haza, ki ikar brias adam b'olam haza la'aveda. And it looks like I'm not fulfilling my mission in the physical world, which is actually to serve Hashem. V'harei ein ani yachol la'aved b'avodas b'machshava zaras maval v'limaisi. And foreign thoughts have overwhelmed me and taken over my mission of trying to serve Hashem. And then this is interesting about when you go behispaidus, you're not behispaidus. When you go alone in a seclusion, you don't go in seclusion by yourself. Did you know that? This is a fascinating innovation. I never understood that. You're supposed to have a friend. When you want to go alone in seclusion, you have to have another friend with you. Aval adam echad levadhu besakana. But if you're alone, it's dangerous to do this alone. Ela yishnayim b'cheder echad v'kol echad yispaided ba'atzmayim abayris barak. You should have two people in one chalet, each person secluded there in his experience of Hashem. Lifam kishu davak. Sometimes when you have dveikus, yachol yispaided. You could sometimes do this when there's a party going on in your basement. You could do that. I mean, David and Melech did that. Seclusion doesn't mean that you're not with people. Seclusion means that you're with people that let you be yourself. So you can do hispaitis, so you can experience dveikus. Wow. This is interesting too. Like, what are you going to do when a person falls and Hashem knows that the person needs to have come down from a state of dveikus? Sometimes the world actually causes a person to descend. The first one was Hashem wants to take the person down. It's just like, enough, we'll return to this level of the ladder tomorrow. There's only so much that Hashem wants a finite person to expand each day, I suppose. But sometimes the world has a way of encroaching on us also. So the first one was from Hashem's doing, so to speak. And the other is just the nature of the world that God set in motion. But that descent, when you have to change your baby's nappy, the Pampers, then that is to actually bring you higher. You just showed love for a person that you couldn't possibly know. It's just a baby. And you give so much love. The baby doesn't know who it's going with. Who they signed up to be hosted by parents. V'yarida hu tzarech aliyah kedei lavayl medrega gedelo. This sort of descent that the world or Hashem knows that the person needs this, to come down from dveikus and from a very sort of spiritual world, that is to take him to a higher spiritual world. K'mei shekasuv, hu yinahagenu al mus. He conducts one to death. So al-mus, upon death, is this idea that you end up rising up from the things that take us down. V'ksiv v'yared Avram Mitzrayim, that's when it says that Avram descended into Egypt. V'ksiv v'ya'al Avram Mitzrayim, and then it says he came up from Egypt. Avram hi haneshama. Avram is the soul. Mitzrayim hem klippos. And it came up from a land of Klippa, Mitzrayim. Tzarech la'aseh ma'aseh b'hester. You have to do things in a private fashion. Shalivnei adam nirak shehu einai eiseh chassidus. So that people won't think that you're trying to get attention for being so pious. But prior to one's attaining a great level of spiritual attainment, you have to do it outwardly. Why? He has to make himself look like a weirdo. So if he looks too cool and too fitting in, and he knows all the teams to cheer for, that world's going to suck him down. So he has to be himself openly to scare people away. That's the way I'm understanding this. She'im loiken, if not, Eliyasa b'goloi, he just did it openly, Kamesha eisim ha'ilam, as the world goes about, Rak yirtze b'pnimius li'etz chassid. He's just going to follow the way of the world, but he inwardly wants to be a chassid. He'll fit in too much, and he'll want to be part of that world. And we take lishma yavai shalei lishma, and then for wanting to do good, he's going to end up doing it for the wrong reasons. That was a hard one. Okay, let's go into the next one. First, you start with reverence in prayer. That is the ticket to ride. And he says to himself, who is this that I wish to cleave to? To the Creator. And in his speech, all of the worlds come into being and sustained, and you contemplate Hashem's greatness, and his exaltedness. That's the gate to enter the higher realms. You start with reverence. You see before whom you want to cleave. You see that that's an incredibly inspiring Creator. and then you could cleave to the higher realms. So this suggestion here is you start with fear and it turns into this love because you sort of made it past the gateway. The gateway requires reverence, awe. Once you have the awe, the suggestion here, if I understand this correctly, you attain the higher realms, meaning you attain the experience of love of Hashem, of connecting to Hashem. Fear is more pulling away because of the greatness, and love is more saying, okay, but Hashem wants me here, and feeling that connection in dveikus. Pamim ein adam eved rak bekatnus. Sometimes a person doesn't only serves Hashem in a sort of like unsophisticated way. Meaning he doesn't experience the higher realms, klal at all. He just considers that Hashem fills the entire earth. Therefore Hashem's close to me. And then he sees himself just like a child whose mind is not yet developed. And although he is working in this sort of childish, spiritually immature approach, he can achieve a tremendous dveikus like that. The Baal Shem Tov teaches. Just knowing that Hashem is in that state too should bring a person to tremendous dveikus. So this is contrary to what I heard one of my friends say the other day, that he associates that with the fake it till you make it approach, which I don't think it is. I think it's recognizing, it's a meditation unto itself, that you consider that in this meichendekatnus, Rabbi Rosenfeld refers to it as, the idea of being uninspired. That if you say, I'm uninspired, but I know Hashem's in this uninspired moment, that itself can lead to dveikus. Can dveikus skip the inspiration phase? I think it's sort of suggesting that here. Hatfila hi zivug im hashchina. Next aphorism begins like this. Prayer is the cleaving, the coupling with the Shechina. The kamesha ke tchilas hazivug yesh ni'nua. Just like in the beginning of connection in this way, there is a rhythm. Ken sarak lena'aneh atzmai b'tfilo b'slasa b'hat chalasa. So too, in the beginning, you shackle in the tefillah. Remember we were speaking before that you say you take care of the body first and energize it, and then you could quiet it. When you attain dveikus, the body's quieted now. You've attained dveikus, you don't move at all. We'll just do one or two more, then I gotta rush off for this midnight minyan. Welcome, Menachem. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, I want to review this for you. If you can check this out, this is very interesting. Tefillah is coupling with the Shechina. It's a zivug. And the beginning of a zivug, it starts with a rhythm. And just like tefillah, you start shackling. And you cleave to the Shechina with a great dveikus without moving at all. And from this shackling that you do in tefillah, you could come to a great state of inspiration. To understand what you're shackling into. Your soul exists. It's probably some like a total rainbow on the spectrum, reaching. Some people think that I mean pride movement when I say the word rainbow. That's so weird to me. No, and when I say pride, I mean Jewish pride. I don't know anything about the movement, so I can't comment on it. When a person considers what they are shackling into, Because certainly Hashem is right before me. And the power of this can be extremely intense in the experience. Late night slickers. Are you going out or what? Come to the Edinburgh shul with me. I gotta leave one or two more of these. These are really, really inspiring. So take this to heart and rock with it. I really hope you understood that last one. That's incredibly awesome. So he says, when you're in a state of lesser inspiration, but maybe it means something else. It means when I think he must be referring to that one that we did a few before that said, when you could be inspired just by saying Hashem's everywhere, He's here too, and that could lead to a state of dveikus. So I think that's what it's referring to. And then afterwards, okay, so here you're having dveikus, but you're in a state of katnas. You were uninspired before. Dveikus is a sort of a visceral experience of Hashem, but there's a sort of inspiration that comes along with it, or usually precedes it. But here he achieves the dveikus when he's uninspired. What happens to his inspiration then? If he uses this moment to think about the fact that there are these higher worlds that he's educated himself about, Tzilas, Bria, etc. Shekamei she'adam machashav, as in nusach acher, it's shekol makam she'adam machashav. Anywhere a person thinks, baihu, that's where he is. Ve'im lo haya ba'ilim ha'elyin lo haya machashav klal. Were he not in a supernal realm, he wouldn't be thinking about a supernal realm. When you think about the supernal realm, that's where you are. Whenever you put your das, that's where you are. Hadveikus hu k'she'emer teva. What is dveikus? So the Baal Shem Tov defines it in one haiku. When you say a word, hu marich beisa teva harbe, you say it at length. You continue, like your favorite famous singer would probably do that with some words in the poem, the song. He can't say the next word because his dveikus is in this word, right? And he can't say the next word. You can't move at all. You can't even leave the word that caused the dveikus. Which is causing him to still say, slow, I gotta go.